Welcome, class, to week 3, color and design. I want to start off this session by talking a little bit about your assignment this week. And the very first thing that I want to point out is something that I think is pretty important. Notice what this says. The project will be graded upon how well and how strictly you follow directions. So you are given some very specific directions here. I am going to be demonstrating a number of things tonight that, again, relate to color and production, and specifically CMYK tonight, whereas we are going to be creating a CMYK four-color process trifold brochure. So the next thing it says down here is the kayak trifold brochure. InDesign must be used. So once we reach the point where we're creating a brochure such as this, you really don't do this in Adobe Illustrator, you do this in Adobe InDesign. Adobe InDesign is the correct layout program for us as graphic designers to be using. The next thing it talks about is that there are photos that have been approved for this project, and that you must use at least 4 photos in your project. There is something I noticed about these photos when I downloaded them, and I am going to discuss that with you in at a later point in our session tonight. I'm going to go over that, so I'll hold that in reserve for a minute. I also want to point out that if you go into your discussions, you're going to find that I included a layout template for you to use in this week's assignment. Essentially, what I did was I built for you a trifold brochure template. Now, why did I do that? I did that primarily because I wanted to make a point. As a graphic designer, it's always a good idea to have relationships with people that you're going to be working with. If you're working on a website, it's a good idea to talk to the remote server, the remote host, find out if they have tech support, talk to them about what they need, and see if they can help you when it's time to put your site up. If you're working on something such as a trifold brochure, very often these guys have made maybe hundreds, even thousands of these brochures. And one of the things that might be a smart move for you would be to talk to the printer, ask them if they have a template that you could use. They're more than happy to let you use that template if they have one, and more than likely they're going to have one. So by going in and asking them for a template, you accomplish 2 things. Number one, you save yourself the time and struggle to produce that template yourself. And you also guarantee that your template will work perfectly with the printer because it will have been submitted by the printer. So it's very important that you think this way as you become a designer. So I'm pretending to be your designer as your printer as your instructor. So I've prepared for you a template, and I would very much like you to use that template. Again, it is in the announcements, and I probably at some point tonight will show you that template, and we'll work with it just a little bit. So I'm going to move down a little bit on this, and you'll notice that it's talking about the size and what this is all about, this particular assignment. So the size of this is an 8.5 by 11 landscape, 2-sided, and it is a trifold, which means essentially you're going to be creating 3 separate panels along the 11-inch axis. The color is in CMYK, meaning that you're going to go full color on this, which means that unlike last week where we did spot color on our logo, we have to make sure that our logo is not spot color. If we leave the logo or use the logo that we used last week, it was converted to spot color. So what would happen if we used that logo? If we used that logo, you would get 4-color process, but then because the 2 logo colors, or the colors that are used in the logo, those 2 colors are spot colors, the printer would have to use a separate plate for each one of those colors. So instead of it being a CMYK job, which is a 4-color job, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, 4 plates, you would actually end up with 6 plates because you would still use cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. But because the logo is in spot color, you would then have to have 2 additional plates, and it would be prohibitively expensive unless the client decides that's what they want to do from the very beginning. So it's very important that you understand this. Now, if I'm gonna go back up a little bit to show you that there is a logo in here. Actually, I'm sorry, I have to scroll down to see that. There you go. There is a supplied logo, the Aqua logo CMYK version, and that logo is correct. So if you want to actually go in and download that logo, you can correct it, or you can use that. You don't have to correct it because that's correct. You can use that. What I'm going to do later on is I'm going to show you how to take the logo that we created last week and go through the process of taking the spot colors and making them Pantone. Again, this is a course specifically for production things. So I try to cover things that relate to production in here. And I take a step beyond what's in the settings of your, or the confines of your assignment requirements, because again, this is what I do. This is my job to show you more, to fill in some of the gaps, and to show you some of the stuff that you just can't put in here. Logo colors cannot be altered for this assignment. So last week when I had you play with the colors and change them, it was okay because it was not required that we stay with the colors. In this particular assignment though, and I've highlighted this, they would like the logo colors to be used the way they are, which is no big deal. Again, I'll go into the logo and I'll show you how to make sure that that happens. Or if you want, you can just go shortcutting it and use the Aqua logo CMYK version.ai. The reason you might not is because, again, this is a production class and you might want to try some of the things that I'm working on because, again, you want to learn these things. These are things that will come in front of you as a graphic designer. These things will happen and you'll have to deal with them. So next thing they talk about here is body copy, which must include headlines. They are supplying you with this text, aqua_text doc. And this is the only text that can be used. Again, they're saying they want to use this text. And I've got the text, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it. And they've also given you here some more additional information that you're going to use on your trifold brochure. And then, of course, there's some more additional information. And finally, there's an actual finished example of a kayak brochure, which I've downloaded and I will show you, and you should download and take a look at. And then the submission specifications for this week will be 1 print-ready PDF and 1 packaged InDesign file, and that needs to be zipped and sent to me. The required file names would be Design 114, first name, last name, assignment 3, PDF, and the same thing with the zip file. So again, this is more or less what you're going to be expected to do. The project will be graded based on how well and how strictly you follow the directions. And watch me tonight and see what I do and learn from it. I've already noticed a number of things, and I'm going to get to that shortly. The other thing is, I thought what I would do is I've got some links that I wanted to share with you, and it turns out that they're from lynda.com, and I'm a paying member of lynda.com, so I have access to this and I can show them to you. It turns out that I can't just supply you with links and have you go and look at them because you're not paying members. So what I've decided to do is I've decided to spend about 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, something like that, to show you these 2 videos because I think they're very relevant to what we're working on today. So I'm going to start off by running the first one, which is RGB versus CMYK. And I'm going to click it and it's going to play.
CMYK color, so you can get a better understanding of what they are and how they're used. Let's first start off with CMYK. CMYK is a color mode which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, as represented by these colors at the bottom of the screen. If I jump over to the second artboard in this document, you'll see that CMYK is primarily used for print publications. Most of the things that you see that have gone out for commercial print have been printed with CMYK colors. The CMYK color palette consists of these 4 colors, which are overlaid over the top of one another to display all of the colors in the spectrum that you have. Whereas RGB, and if I jump back to the original artboard, you'll see, is comprised of 3 colors: red, green, and blue. These are the colors that are represented on things like TV screens, computer monitors, and anything like a tablet or wireless device. If I jump over to the third artboard, you'll see that RGB is primarily used for web or screen graphics. So anytime you're creating graphics that are not going out for print, you want to make sure that you're working in the RGB color space. So again, the basic difference is they're different colors: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, red, green, and blue. But the big difference is CMYK is used for print, RGB is used for web or screen. Now that you've seen the difference between the two, hopefully you can get your next project started off in the right color mode for the right type of project. Before creating your first swatch inside of Illustrator, it's important to understand.
So that's it. It wasn't a very long video. The important thing to take away from that particular video is the fact that they're talking about 2 color modes. They're talking about RGB and CMYK. Why do you think that is? Well, the reason is that they're primarily the 2 major color modes that graphic designers work with more than any other. You're going to be working probably on the web, and you will be working in print. And you need to know what color mode to use when and where. So again, understand, RGB is primarily used for anything that you're going to be doing that has to do with presentation over some sort of a monitor or a screen and via the internet or some sort of media device such as that. There are some printers actually, not too many, but there are some that use RGB, and in that case you might use RGB images for them as well. The majority of the printing devices that you're going to come across, though, are using CMYK. So when you're going to be doing something that has to do with print, you have to be working in CMYK. In this particular course that I'm teaching you, we don't really touch upon the web very much. It's mentioned a couple of times, but that's really about it. We don't do anything here. This is mostly print production. So it's very important that I focus your attention on the print aspects, but I also just want you to be aware that there are 2 primary areas, and that is CMYK for print and RGB for the web. So I got one more little video we'll look at here, and this is accessing color in Adobe InDesign, and
has 3 Pantone spot colors in it. You can see them down here at the bottom of the swatches panel. I'm going to jump to the second spread of this document by pressing Option or Alt page down. And those spot colors are applied to this headline up here and also this Illustrator graphic over here. And this document's looking pretty good, but I just heard from my client that they've decided to run this as a 4-color process. And that means they want to print it.
Okay, I'm stopping this for a second. What he's talking about primarily is something that I mentioned a little earlier, which is the fact that you have a client, and the client is giving you a 4-color process job. And now you have some sort of a graphic here, and this particular graphic is using spot colors. So if you take a look very carefully in the swatches panel over here, here's the swatches panel. If you look here, you're seeing that there are all these colors indicated. When you get down to the bottom 3, though, they're spot colors. So what this video is going to do is it's going to show you how to take, this is another method of converting color, how to take those colors as spot colors and turn them into process colors using Adobe InDesign. I am going to show you later on how to do that in Adobe Illustrator. But this shows you how it can be done in Adobe InDesign. And again, these are all based on me showing you production techniques. So now I'm going to let this guy go, and I'm not going to bother you or him anymore.
At a commercial printer, but only with cyan, magenta, yellow, and black inks. Maybe they don't want to print the spot colors because well, it's more expensive to print with extra inks. Fortunately, InDesign can convert your spot color inks to process color on the fly when you print or export a PDF. Actually, there are two ways to do this. First, you could just edit the color swatch. For example, I'll right-click down here on the swatch, Pantone 634U, and I'll choose Swatch Options. Then I'll tell InDesign that this should be a CMYK color. I'll just scroll up on this list and choose CMYK, or Lab would actually result in a more accurate conversion. And then, this is the important part, I'll change the color type pop-up menu to Process. That's it. This color will now export as a process color. But I'm going to click Cancel here because I want to show you the second way to do this, my favorite way. This time, I'm going to use the Ink Manager. There are about 5 different ways to get to the Ink Manager in InDesign, but the most intuitive way is to go to the Swatches panel menu and choose Ink Manager. The first thing you see here in the Ink Manager is a list of all the inks. You always see cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, even if you haven't used them, even if it's just a black and white document, which is kind of dumb, but they're always there. But then underneath, you'll see a list of your spot colors. Remember, these are actual inks that you're asking your printer to use. And if I printed color separations for this document right now, I would get 7 different pages for each page of the document. A cyan page, a magenta page, a Pantone 634 page, and so on. And then the printer would use each separation to print that particular plate. But we're trying to change those spot colors to process colors. And to do that, you can click on this little icon in the left column. That tells InDesign to convert just that color. Or I could click it again to set it back to a spot color. In this case, I want to convert all the spot colors to process. So I'm going to turn on this checkbox down here, all spots to process. Now, while there's nothing technically wrong with editing in the color swatch itself, like I showed you earlier, I prefer to use this, the Ink Manager, because it's much easier to change the colors back to spot if I want to. Plus, it's a lot faster when I have a bunch of spot colors that need to be converted all at once. I also like the Ink Manager because it shows up in both the Export PDF and the Print dialog boxes. Here, let me show you. I'll cancel out of this, and I'm going to go to the File menu and choose Print. Now, when I choose the Output pane, down here I see the same list of all my inks. Actually, often it's not until I have the Print or Export PDF dialog box open that I realize there even are spot colors in the document. So this is an important place to look. And now, seeing that I have these spot colors, I can decide to convert these to process colors by clicking the Ink Manager button right down here. Then I'll turn on all spots to process, click OK, and now you can see I'm only going to be printing with process colors. There are 2 other features hiding inside the Ink Manager dialog box that are really helpful, and I'll talk about those in the next movie. In the last movie,
Hi, Angela. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Okay, so I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming. What I just did was I ran through a couple of videos that I think you're going to find interesting and helpful. So let me just continue with my thought. And from this point forward, if you have any questions, feel free to just chime in and let me hear. All right?
Okay.
All right. So what this video showed you was that if you have the logo, which we've created, and you bring it in as a spot color, you can go into your swatches panel, and here's the swatches panel, and you can see down at the bottom here where it's indicating that the colors are made of spot, or they're made currently of spot colors. You don't even have to literally go back in and do what we're going to do, but I'm going to show you how to do it because you shouldn't be bringing spot color artwork into your 4-color process in the first place. But let's say, for instance, say Angela's here, and Angela's working on a project with me, and I give a job over to Angela, and Angela looks at her swatches and sees that, oh, Bill's got a logo in there that's a spot color logo, and you happen to know that this is not going to be this is going to be a 4-color process job with no spot colors. Well, you don't have any problems. You can literally go right into InDesign and make the changes just as indicated in this little video. So again, it's a very important thing to understand that it costs you money. And the author of this video mentioned that at the very beginning. That's really the reason why we do this, because again, a 4-color process job and a 4-color process job with 3 spot colors is a majorly different thing. With a process color job, you got 4 plates and 4 setups. If you have a 7-color job, because you got 4-color process and 3 spots, you're going to have 7 plates and 7 makeups, and that is going to cost a lot of money. And your client, if he's not expecting that, will be very upset. And again, to have a spot color in your project where it could probably be just as well done in 4-color process is a major waste of money. So again, we don't want to do this. That's basically how you deal with this issue in Adobe InDesign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to show you how similar it is to do this work in Adobe Illustrator. All right, so I'm done with this for the time being. I'll minimize this, and I'll bring up Illustrator. And you might remember, this is our logo from last week. And one of the things that I did last week was I told you that you could go in and you could pick colors from your color library. Go to Window and open Libraries. Let me drag this thing down here. Swatch Libraries, here we go. Swatch Libraries, Color Books. And I believe the one that I told you was Pantone plus CMYK coded, correct? Is that right, Angela? Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so I click on this, and my color book comes up, and this is the color book, and you can go in and you can get all kinds of great colors in here, okay? Now, that's not the only way you can get color, but this is one of the ways that you could do it reliably for a Pantone and CMYK color. So I, again, told you to go in and choose a couple of colors, and those are the 2 that I chose right there. The problem that I have is that I'm being told that my assignment must be done in the original colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert my artwork back to the original colors. And I'm going to do that by clicking here and changing that to the yellow, right? Here, changing that to the burgundy, and clicking here and changing that back to the yellow. So what do you think, Angela? Does that look about like what the original color should be? Did I lose you? I know that it was saying my internet is unstable. I hope I didn't lose anybody. All right, well, anyway, I'm going to continue. Yeah, I lost Angela. Okay, so basically what I have now is I have applied my colors, but I basically have these colors as spot colors. And I can tell that they're spot colors because down in the lower corner, I see that there's a little spot. Now, all I have to do to fix this is double click on this, and it will bring up my swatch options. And the color mode is already set to CMYK. The other option would be, yeah, Angela, I guess you got bounced out.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad you're back. So anyway, what we're doing, Angela, is I'm explaining and I'm changing the colors back because part of the assignment says we need to do this in the original colors.
Okay.
Okay, and you can look over here and see that they're spot colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm converting them back into Pantone colors or CMYK colors. So the color mode is CMYK, that's good. I'm going to come up here though with the color type and change it to process. And I'm going to hit OK. And right away it's converted. I can tell it's converted because I got the little corner that's basically the spot's gone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll do the same thing with this color. I'm going to double click on it, and it's in CMYK. I'm simply going to come here, and I'm going to change it to process color and hit OK. So now these colors, if you click on them, you notice that that color is showing as a process color, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and if I click on this guy, notice that it is showing as a process color, and this guy is showing as a process color. Now, the other thing for you to understand is there is a logo that you can download and use where it is processed already. If you did this last week, I kind of would prefer you use this logo because I want you to get the practice of doing this, because at some point you will be building logos and you will be creating versions of logo for different types of print environments. Like, for instance, if you create a logo for somebody, they may come to you later on and say, I'd like you to create for me a business card, and your logo might be in 2 colors, and you should know how to go about creating the proper colors for that environment, which you learned last week. Now we're going to be creating a trifold brochure. So you need to know how to take that logo and correctly change it so that it becomes process color. And you might want to know how to do that in the program Illustrator, where you create the logo. We also, in that video, saw how we could do the same thing in Adobe InDesign. So you should know these things, because from a technical standpoint, from a production standpoint, that's what this course is really all about with me. And if I don't teach you these things, then what am I here for? Do you see what I mean? I lost her again. I must be having internet problems. I hope it's not affecting my recording. Let's see if it is. All right, so now that I got these colors set up properly, I'm just going to come up to the File menu, and I'm going to go Save As, Copy, and I'm going to change the formatting of this thing to, again, the Adobe Illustrator EPS. And I'm going to, it's in my last week's folder, my tonight's folder. I'm going to hit Save. And why am I using the EPS? Again, the reason I'm using the EPS is because we're working with graphics that are coming out of Adobe Illustrator. And when you work with vector-based graphics such as this, the Adobe EPS file is a very good file to use for that. So I'm not going to change the version. I don't have any reason to change the version. I haven't been instructed to do so. Usually somebody would tell me for whatever reason to change a version, and I would change that version here. Then the preview format is TIFF 8-bit color, and I have no reason to change that because that's the most appropriate. We talked about these things last week, and I also pointed out the fact that I do want the background to be transparent. So I'm going to make sure that I leave the transparent settings selected. The other thing that I want to do here is keep in mind the fact that in this particular logo, there really are no embedded fonts. I actually, and you can see that a little bit over here, the artwork has been turned into outlines. So there are no true fonts in there anymore. They're just basically vector graphic shapes. So I honestly don't need the embed font feature. So I can deselect the embed font feature. So now that I've basically got this done, this is about what you're going to do. All right, I'm going to hit OK. And it writes the EPS file format. And in the Tonight's folder, let me see if I can locate the Tonight's folder. Tonight, let me open it up. Okay, and let me go back to Illustrator. And let me click on my folder to bring it forward. Tonight, yeah, here we go. There we go. Tonight, we should have Aqua logo color EPS. Aqua logo AI, yeah. Aqua logo color copy EPS. I'm going to change this name. Yeah, see, that's the name I'm looking for. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change that to process. I actually forgot to do that. So I'll do that now. Process. So this is the Aqua logo. What it didn't? Oh, there we go. That's it. That's it. Process EPS. Yes. So I've actually named it process. That's what I'm going to be using. That's the one I'm going to be working with tonight. Okay. So that's really all I have to show you. Now that I have this folder open showing you tonight, these are the pictures that I've downloaded. These are the pictures that are available for you to use. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like 8 pictures in here. And you can use these pictures any way you would like to use these pictures to create your Aqua Adventures brochure. But I noticed when I opened one of these images up that there are a couple of inconsistencies with these pictures that we have to look at. First of all, just like everything else, we need to be working in CMYK. And I didn't open all the images, but I did open one of them, and I noticed that it was not in CMYK. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in and I'm going to open up a couple of these images. We're going to take a look at them and we're going to see what size they are and what color mode they are, and possibly make some changes to them. And again, it's really important for you to understand that this is part of the process. Just like creating your logo correctly. Oh, and by the way, what I'm going to do is come in here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this down and save changes, no. Angela, I don't know what's happening tonight, but you keep getting bumped out on me, and
I don't know.
you know what's scaring me? I'm afraid that it's affecting my recording. I hope that's not happening.
Oh, I hope not.
I do too, because if I have to go back and do this again tomorrow, I'm going to be very upset.
Oh,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's not going to be your fault, but so I'm getting rid of this aqua color logo here, and I'm just leaving the elements. What I was just saying was that I got pictures here, and I've noticed something about the pictures, which I'm about to show you. So I'm going to open up Photoshop, and notice that I have one of the pictures already open in Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
That's you saw the picture back here. If I come over here tonight, there's the picture. See the picture?
Yeah.
It's the Kayak 7 JPEG.
Yes.
Okay, so when I take a look at Kayak number 7 JPEG, do you notice anything before we even go any further? Do you notice anything, Angela? I mean, take a look just for a second around the screen and see if there's anything that jumps out at you. Try looking in the upper left-hand corner.
Well, see, I guess maybe the view, the little view is it's got like two squares. I don't know.
No, actually, look a little lower. Look where it says Kayak 7 JPEG. What does it tell you there?
Okay.
On that little tab.
This RGB.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's what I was asking you to look for.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were listening earlier to what I was saying, and again, you're popping in and out of here, you can watch the beginning of this to see.
Yes.
One of the things that we have to do here is we have to differentiate between the different color modes. RGB is okay if we're going to be working on the web.
Mm-hmm.
CMYK is what we're going to be using if we're going to be going to print. This particular project, we're going to be going to print. So when I opened these images up, the very first thing I did was I looked to see the size, and I didn't even get to that point yet because I noticed it was in RGB. And I stopped right there and I thought, well, this is something that I have to discuss with you guys tonight, because you're going to be creating a trifold brochure from this. And if I go in and check this, and if I end up with RGB images, I am going to have to fail you on it. And when I say fail, I don't mean literally fail, but the same jag that I gave you last week. If you have a printer and you send the printer the wrong thing, he will basically send it back to you or tell you he can't use it, and you're going to have to resubmit. So really what it comes down to is, as a production instructor and in a production class, it's my duty, my responsibility to sort of lay down the law and show you how things need to be. So going back to what I said, I was looking at this, I spotted the fact that this image was in the wrong color mode, and I'm assuming that the rest of them are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by correcting the color mode on this. Now, I don't know, did I show you how to do this last week for an image? I don't think I did.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, it's really incredibly simple. All you're going to do when the image is open, you're going to come up to the image menu, and the very first thing you see is mode. See it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and right now, you see what it's checked next to?
Yeah, RGB.
Right, so all you're going to do is you're going to roll over CMYK and click, and you are about to convert to CMYK using the US web-coded SWOP V2 profile. This may not be what you intend. To choose a different profile, use Edit, Convert to Profile. Two things. First thing, the US web-coded SWOP V2 profile is a very general, cross-the-board, user-friendly profile.
Okay.
It is by no means the only profile.
Mm-hmm.
And if your printer tells you that he wants you to use another profile, I will show you by going to the choose a different profile using the edit convert to profile, I'll show you how to change it. But I'm not going to physically change it because in our particular case, I'm going to pretend that the US web coded SWOP v2 profile is good. Now, what does US web coded profile mean anyway? Essentially, it means that this is for any kind of a web-fed coded stock project.
Okay.
And when I say web, it's a web. The actual, it's not the internet. It's a web kind of machine. It's web fed. There's a big, yeah. So and it's a coded stock. Coded stock means any kind of a stock essentially that has some sort of a finish applied to it, other than just a plate finish. Plate finish means that you're using pressure and heat to create a plate finish. When you're working with a coated stock, it's some kind of an aqueous or varnish coating that goes on it. And it's very common. As a matter of fact, many, I won't say all, but many of your projects will be coated
Yeah,
stocks.
that's the one. That's the look that gives you the glossy look.
Yes.
On a card.
Yes. Yep. That's correct. So I'm just going to accept this for now, hit OK. And if I go to the edit menu and I come down here to, where are we at here? Convert to profile, click on this. I can now come into the convert to profile space, and I can, depending upon whatever settings my printer gives me, and again, you don't go in and do this unless your printer specifically wants to do this with you. Okay, you can come in and you can change the profile. There's a number of different profiles in here. Look at them all. There's dozens and dozens of them. More than likely, you're not going to use many of these. You probably may never ever use a lot of them. But the bottom line is you'll come across from time to time a printer who would want some sort of a different working profile for the project you're working on. And why? Because of his environment, because of what he's doing. What he's doing might not work as well with a web-coded SWOP v2 profile such as the one that's here, okay?
Okay.
All right, so he would have you change that. And then, of course, down here you have conversion options. And again, he would give you that. There's also an advanced panel, which I'm just not going to go through with all this with you because this is something that it just takes a long time to explain. A lot of it is something that you would do with your printer. Okay. General, you don't do this. Your printer, if he needs any of this done, he will generally say to you, let's go in and do it. One of the things, though, I will say to you, and I'm going to hit cancel on this because I'm not going to really do anything. One of the things that I will say to you is that I think it's a good idea for all of you as designers when you work on projects like this, and I mean like serious projects that are going to actually be printed. One of the things that you should do is you should always try to find out who your printer is. You should always try to get a phone number for the printer, and you should always call the printer up and talk to the printer about things such as settings and stuff. Because again, as I say, it shows you care about what you're doing. Number two, it's a way of learning about what you're doing. And if you're working with this printer over and over again, you know, you want to be able to set up some presets for that particular printer. And the best way to set up presets are to actually go in and create settings and save them as a preset, which you can do. Okay?
All right.
You got any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, let me know if you do.
Okay.
So now that we've done this is saying CMYK. So we're in pretty good shape. The next thing is that this is going to be going into a panel that's around 3.5 inches wide by 8.5 inches, and I need bleed on that. Remember we talked about bleed?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to find out how big this picture is. I see that this picture is currently being displayed at 66.7%. That means instead of it showing at 100% its full size, it's showing at 66.7%. And that troubles me a little bit because it's a kind of big picture. It should be smaller at this size. So it's telling me that this is not a really big image. I'm afraid of what I'm going to find. So what I want to do now is after I change the color mode, and actually this is the last thing I do. First thing that I would want is go to the image menu and come down to image size. See where I am? Image size, and click on image size. Okay, I get my image size dialog box. Now here's the problem that I see it. The resolution here is, I'm going to change this from pixels to inches. Okay, so the width on this is 4, and the height is 5.66. So I need this to have 8.5. This is really the problem with this image. It's 4 inches wide, but it's only 5.66 inches tall. Now our panels are 8.5 plus bleed, which would mean it's 8.75. And the panel is like 3.5, something like that, not quite 3.5. And the resolution on this is only 200 pixels per inch. So this particular image isn't really a very good image for us in reality. I can't make this 300 pixels per inch, which is what I would want it to be, and the height is too small. The only way I could make this resolution 300 pixels per inch is by going in and making the size of the image smaller. You can't, if I tried to keep the size the same and increase the resolution to 300 pixels per inch, the image would become muddy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast. When you're dealing with Adobe Photoshop, you have problems with resolution and image size. So really what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is this is not the best image for us to be doing what we're doing with. Right. So, you know, this is not something that would ever be printable. You would not be able to print this in any way. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't really like using these images in the first place, because I kind of knew going in that they were going to be incorrect. So here's what I want to do. In order to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, I'm going to hit cancel on this now, because there's nothing I can do to fix this other than make the image smaller. Okay?
Right.
All right. So I'm going to hit cancel, and I'm going to go File, Open. And I'm going to see if I can find another image. Let me go to my desktop, and I'll try to give you an idea what I'm talking about. Go to my desktop. I'm going to go to Print Production and Color Theory, and let's see what I want here. I want my week 3. Yeah, and I want my blue resources. There we go. Images. And I think I want that guy right there, Diver 1 JPEG. Yeah, hit Open. Okay, now, take a look at this. This is in CMYK. So this has already been worked on a little bit. This is 33.3 inches. That's quite a bit different than 66.7 inches, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Right, so you see my point already is that this image is, to fit the screen, it has to be 33%. It can't be any more than that. So that should tell you right away. That's kind of a giveaway that this image is somehow bigger. We just haven't quite figured out yet how it is bigger. But the information that you're looking at when you're looking in here is telling you something right away. It's in the correct color mode. Right. And the size of it maybe gives us the ability to do something with it. So let's do this. Let's take a look at image size on this. Okay, so this is actually set to inches. Okay, this is a height of 12 inches. Almost, well, no, actually, it's almost, it's 12.5 inches high.
Yeah.
And it's 180 pixel per inch. Okay, so we need this thing to be 11. We need it to be 11.75. This is, we're actually going to push this to, but I think we could probably do it a little bit better. I'm going to change this to 8.75, and I'm going to up this to 300. And I'm going to resample it by, let's see here, nearest neighbor, hard edges, preserve details, enlargement, bicubic smoother. I think I want to preserve details. And I'll try to reduce the noise a little bit. Let's bring it down to about 9, and let's hit OK. All right, so there now, you see what I did? I actually, let's go to image size. All right, and now this is, has a height of 8.75. That means that this image is just to the point where I can go 8.5 by 11, okay, 11 inches, and Actually, I only needed 11.25, didn't I? No, it's 8.5. The height is 8.5. Sorry. So it's 8.75. That would give me a 1/4 inch extra. And if you divide a 1/4 inch in half, what do you get? An eighth of an inch?
Yeah, an eighth of, yeah.
Quarter inch in half, you get an eighth of an inch. So the whole purpose of this is to try to get my resolution up to 300 pixels per inch so that you can print this. Now, I really pushed the envelope on this particular one. This was a little bit close, but it was a little bit better. The whole point of this is that you need to have an image that is going to be at least 300 pixels per inch in order to print it properly. The height of it should be at least 8.75 if you're going to bleed it off of the cover. Now, if this were the cover shot, it's going to bleed off of the right and off the top and off the bottom, and it's going to clip to my first panel. And I'm going to actually use this picture to show you what I'm talking about, okay?
Okay.
All right, so the reason I'm showing you this is because when you take a look at these these images, you're going to find that there's problems with them. Some of the problems you're going to be able to repair, and some of the problems you're not going to be able to repair. So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to give you a demonstration of how one goes in and tries to correct an image. And what are you trying to correct? You're trying to correct the size and resolution as best you can. There are different resolutions that are general resolutions. For instance, a resolution of 300 pixel per inch, that's for working in print. And a resolution of 180 roughly is what you use when you are printing from, say, a color laser copier. Are you familiar with like Kinko's or Staples?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you go to Kinko's and Staples and you have a document and you want to print it out in full color, you make sure that your resolution is around 180 pixels per inch. Why? Because the printer really doesn't have the capacity to print any greater resolution than that. And if you give them a 300 pixel per inch one, it's not going to be able to understand the information and will only print at 180 anyway.
Oh, okay.
It really can't. It can't. So if 300 pixel per inch ends up looking like 180 because that's all the device has the ability to understand. It's the same thing with the web. If you give a web an image that has 180 pixels per inch, the web only can think about, or the browser, the monitor, has the ability to present either 72 to 90, anywhere from 72 to 90. So if you go 185, it's only going to be able to present 90 or 72 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just basically feeding it a large image or a larger image than you can possibly display. So that's why it's important to know these things. And it's most important, and why am I spending the time doing this? Most important when you're working in print, especially high-end printing like we're doing right here. Because if you don't send the right image size and resolution, the printer will have a mess on his hands and your project will be really garbage. So again, this should be even a bigger image. I pushed it, I got this to come up to this size. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to save this one on my desktop. I'm going to come up to my desktop and I'm going to put it in tonight. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, tonight. And hit save. And sometimes this JPEG option comes out. And you got to make sure that this is set to 12 maximum. You don't want this to set anywhere else because what it'll do is it'll optimize it. And you're not looking to do that. Okay. So make sure that if this pops up, it says 12 maximum and you hit OK.
Okay.
All right, so basically I just saved that. Now, why I did that was so that I could basically go into Adobe InDesign and I could bring this picture in and I could show you how to work with this picture. The other pictures, I don't think, like for instance, go to Kayak here. I would like you to change the color mode from RGB to CMYK. So I'm going to open another one. I'm going to go File, Open. I'm going to show you that if I go, say, to this one here and hit Open, there's that picture. And what is the color mode on this one?
It's RGB.
Right. So that's the wrong color mode, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the problems is that all of these pictures are going to end up being in the wrong color mode. So all you're going to do is come up to the image menu, go to Mode, and change it to CMYK.
Mhm.
And again, it's going to give you this pop-up here. I'm just going to hit OK. If you want, I don't ever do this because I teach this course so many times that I want this window to pop up so I can show you. So I
Right.
don't do this. But you can just click on this and it won't show it again. I'm just going to accept OK on it. And I'm just going to quickly go to image size again, and we'll see what we got here. So this is, again, a resolution of 200. That's a little bit on the low side. I mean, this would be fine if you were going to print this brochure off of a like a color copier. This would be okay. But
Yeah.
it would not be okay if it's a high-end printing environment. And because of the size of this, the width is only 3.5 and the height is only 2.1, which is a little over 2 inches.
Right.
You know, you really can't make it any bigger without making it smaller. And it's, you know, you don't want the image to go any smaller than that. So I can't have you change that part of it. So I'm just showing you where the problems are so that you understand. Normally what you would want is a bigger image
Mhm.
that you could reduce down and increase the resolution to 300. So let's say that this has a width of, oh, I don't know, let's say 9 inches. Let's say it's 9 inches wide.
Okay.
Okay? At 9 inches wide, whatever this height would be, and I'm sure it would be much greater, I could go in and I could set this to 300, and I could go from 9 inches to 3.5 and hit OK, and it would automatically bring it down to the size that I want and bring the resolution up. That's ultimately what I would want to be doing here.
Right.
Yeah, so we can't do that with these images. And that's the unfortunate thing, and that's one of the reasons why. I mean, they're supplying them to you, and you have to use them. I'm not happy about it because I just don't like them. If they were bigger images, I'd be fine, but I can't really demonstrate to you, and I can't really have you do the right thing with them because then they would be too small to use. So I'm a little bit unhappy about having to use this. So I'm going to hit cancel. So I guess the only thing I can really expect out of you then is to come in here and make sure that they are all set to CMYK.
Mhm.
So any questions? And you got to do this in Photoshop.
Okay, so we have to do it in Photoshop.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that, like, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 pictures here.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to have to look at all 8 pictures because I'm absolutely sure that they're all going to end up being in RGB. They're all going to be sizes that I can't really do much with. So I'm stuck. I just can't really have you do. I will probably take a look at one more. Let me take a look at one more, just for the heck of it. Let me hit this. Hit no. Yeah, hit no. Yeah, click that off. And click that. Hit no. All right, let me just try one more. There's one more I want to look at real quick. We got the time. So I want to take this guy, I want to drag that guy in there. Okay, so this is set to, see, this is, again, look at the size, 100%.
100%.
So that's not good. I go to image size, and 200, it's got a height of 3.39 inches. So, I mean, use your imagination. How tall is 3 inches?
Not very.
Not very big. So that's the problem. If I wanted to make this thing go up 100 pixels per inch, I would have to knock at least, oh, I don't know, maybe an inch off of this. So that would mean that my height would be 2.6 or something, and this would be a width of 2 by 2. So, you know, if that's the kind of image that you're going to use this for, then you can maybe bring that up. But that's making that image very small. So it's a trap, and I'm not happy about this. So I would, in this case, just close this out, and you're going to have to leave it the way it is and use it the way it is, which would be technically incorrect. So there's something that I'm not going to be able to check you on. So that's why I'm making a big point of mentioning it in the class tonight, because it's something that's incredibly important for you to know if you are really going to be making something for correct production. Okay?
So I mean, in that situation, if you know, if someone does supply you with an image that is not big enough for you to use,
Yeah, it happens all the time. That's why I'm pointing it out to you. You just had it happen to you. So in reality, just like if I was your printer and you sent something to me, and it was incorrectly done, as your printer, I would reject it. I'd send you an email and tell you, you got to submit it again, this and that and the other thing is not right, and I'd explain what's not right about it. What you would do is whoever sent you these pictures, you would email them and say, what you sent me, the images that you sent me, the file size and image resolution is too small for me to use in the print environment that I'm working in. I need larger pictures with a higher resolution.
So you basically leave it up to the client for them to find the pictures?
Well, you're not going to come up with them.
Okay.
You're not. Yeah, it's somebody who supplies you these pictures, whoever that might be.
Okay.
I could be doing it. I could be your assistant or your associate, or I could be somebody in another department who's working on the project, and maybe I don't know enough about production, and I send you the wrong pictures. So technically, if you really want to know the truth, these pictures are technically the wrong pictures. They're okay. They're okay to be used off of a digital environment, which is probably not the true and correct environment for creating a trifold brochure that incorporates bleeds and stuff. So, you know, from a technical standpoint, these are like wrong. So I'm going to have, I have really no, I have to, you read the instructions, you didn't, but you will. It says these must be used and you have to use 4. So I'm stuck, I got to let you use them. So the only thing I can expect you to do, and I will look for it, is you convert them from RGB into CMYK, and then you use them in your production.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So no other questions with any of that?
No, I don't have, that was my only question.
All right, so I'm gonna knock this down. Actually, I'll close it because I think no, I might not close it. All right, yeah, I'm gonna come back in and open up InDesign now. All right, so here is this is a trifold brochure, and what I'm going to do is, I think, let me just see something here. Hold on. Tonight, where was it? Is it in there? Last week? No. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to, whoops, that's the wrong one. Should have known. I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to come back to the assignment. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Design 114. Give me a second. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit on my announcements. There we go. And let's see, I want my, all right, additional resources. Here you go. I'm going to click on this announcement here. I want to point this one out to you. All right. So here's the deal. I am sending you. I'm sending you a layout, and the reason that I'm sending you this layout is because I explained this earlier. I don't know whether you were here at the time I explained it or not, but
I think I was.
You were?
I don't think I was.
Okay, so anyway, if you are building a trifold brochure like this, you could lay it out yourself, or you could do the smart thing, which is to contact your printer and ask the printer if the printer would be kind enough to give you a template for it. Okay. Why would you do that? You would do it, like I said earlier, because it saves you the work of having to do it and running the risk of doing it incorrectly. Okay. It also guarantees that you're using a template that has the specifications specifically that the printer wants. Okay. So that's why doing this way is a really good idea. So what I'm doing is I'm pretending that I am the, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, this is the wrong one. Let me go back. This is the wrong one. It's actually, there we go. Yeah, here we go. That's it. So this is my template. I'm sorry. That was my actual example. Okay. All right. This is my template. So it's still the same thing. I basically am submitting this template to you, pretending that I am your printer. You've asked me for a template. So now you're going to download the template. Let me download it. All right. I'm going to hit OK. And it's downloading. It should pop open. Give it a second. There. And it's in this folder called Scuba Blue Resources. And I'm going to drag it over to here. All right. And it's copying it. And I can close this. And now I can open this up. And I'm going to minimize this for a second and come over to, let's see, where's my Tonight? Here's my Tonight. What I really want in here is the template document InDesign. There it is. Okay? The rest of these, ignore. Okay. Just basically ignore them for now, because you're going to use the images. Those are images and copy that I was using for my brochure, which is this guy right here. But apparently they do not want you to build this. They want you to build your own. And they want to use the copy that they supply, and they want to use the images that they supply. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a little bit on this tonight, but I'm going to keep this open because when it gets, because I'm not going to build the whole brochure for you. I'm just going to show you a little bit about how to open up and deal with the template, get you familiar with the template, and how to put a few things on the page and talk to you about things such as paragraph styles and master pages. That's part of it. Have you done anything with InDesign yet, Angela? Have you had any classes that brought you into InDesign yet?
Yes.
Okay.
I had one last mod.
Oh, good. So you know a little bit about master pages, and you know a little bit about paragraph styles, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific.
Master pages in our assignments.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. All right, so let me go back here for 1 second. Go to tonight. And okay, so I got this InDesign document. This is the template. This is what I want you to use. Very important for you to understand this. I'm actually going to be looking for you to use this template. And if you go back, you weren't here, but if you go back to what I said at the very beginning, the instructions are a big part of your grade. So if people submit to me a trifold brochure where you're not using this template, I'm going to knock some points off because I'm looking for exactitude. And I want you to understand that this template that I'm giving you would be a template supplied to you by the printer. Okay, so it's very important that you use this to show me that you're paying attention and that you're understanding the concepts.
Okay.
All right, so you good with that?
I'm good with it.
Okay, so really all I got to do then is open this up by double clicking, and it'll take a minute. More than a minute. And here is my template. Okay?
All right.
So basically, what is this template doing? I'm going to actually show you how to make the basic template. I'm not going to go into how to do the folds and everything. I'll talk about them, but I'm not going to go through the process of doing the whole thing. But I'm going to explain things like this, which is your margin. This is your bleed, and that's what's called your slug area. When you had InDesign, did they talk to you about margining and bleeding and slugging?
They talked to us about the margins and the bleed a little bit, but we didn't go over the slugging.
Okay, so here's the deal. Again, this is a slightly more technical course. This is a course where I am basically a production person showing you how to do the production stuff. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this stuff. And that's really what I'm concerned about more than anything else. Not saying I'm not concerned about you creating a nice design, but what I really am concerned about is more than anything else, the fact that you follow the production thinking that I'm giving you, okay? All right, so how I would set this up, forget these right now because that's secondary. I would go to the File menu, and I would create New Document, and I'd get the new document book, and I'm looking for 2 pages here. Notice that the intent is already printed. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get this out of here. Let me go to let's go to default. Okay, so now I'm in default, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. So if you go into default, you'll notice right away the intent stays to print, which is good. There's print, web, or digital publishing, okay? Now, you might want to go digital publishing, but I doubt it. You probably want to stay with print. And because, again, the reality of this is that this is going to be truly printed as a 4-color process job. So stay with print. But come down to the width on this thing. Now, notice the width is set to 8.5 by 11, right?
Right.
Okay, so you want to change the orientation of that because right now 8.5 by 11 is set to portrait, which means that it's taller than it's wide. All right, so you want to reverse that. You want it to be wider than it's tall. So your width will be 11 inches and the height will be 8.5, right?
Right.
Okay, now the next and most important thing is here, the number of pages. This is going to be printed 2-sided, front and back. So you need 2 pages. So you're going to change that to 2. Now notice right next to it, there's a check mark next to facing pages. Okay, if you were going to make a booklet or a newsletter, you would do facing pages, which means that you would have spreads, correct? Remember that from?
Yes.
Right. We're not doing that. We're doing a front page and a back page. So they will not be facing pages. One will be a front page and one will be a back page.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to deselect this.
All right.
I'm going to leave the number of columns set to 1, and I'm going to have no gutter on it. I don't want a gutter on it. All right.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What exactly is a gutter? I wasn't sure about that.
The amount of space between the columns.
Okay.
So if you have a 3-column, if you have on your page 3 columns,
Mm-hmm.
you would set a certain number of pixels or points for a gutter, which is the space between columns, so that the columns aren't butting into one another.
Okay, I got it.
It's sort of like the margin between columns,
Columns.
because that's what a margin does, essentially. A margin keeps you away from the edge of the paper, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so now you see we've got a margin here, and the margin is set in this particular case to 5.5, which is a 1/2 inch. So that means that you're going to have a clean 1/2 inch all the way around this thing, which I kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now the last thing, so you're clear with that?
Yes.
Yeah, and this here, by clicking that, and you see how it's darker?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's set up so that it will give you the same margin all the way around. If I deselected that, I could make my margins different all the way around.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, the bleed and slug are right down here. So let me just very quickly say to you that whenever you have an object or a picture or anything that you want to go to the edge of your piece, and here's the important thing. Look over here.
Sorry. Go ahead.
You see where my crop mark is there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you see the little black line there?
Yes.
Yeah. That little black line essentially is, to the printer, the mark where the page is going to cut out of its background.
Uh-huh.
That's what that means.
Okay.
So a bleed of a 1/4 of an or 1/8 of an inch is where the image is going to go to, that is going to actually cut and be printed right to the edge of that piece. So anything that's going to do that, you need to have it go beyond at least 1/8 of an inch in the direction that it's going to go to the edge on, or bleed.
Okay.
I hope I explained that to you.
Yes, I understand.
Good. All right. So what I would generally do here, again, keep this thing the same, and I would come in here and I would type in 0.125 IN. And then if I click in the next one, you'll see that it fills in the rest for me.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's the slug? The slug area essentially is an area outside of the actual printed piece that you allow for the elements that the printer needs, the marks that the printer needs.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what a slug is.
Okay.
That's what it really is. So I'm going to just make it a 1-inch slug all the way around, 1-inch slug. And again, once I hit here, it fills it in. So it's going to be slug of 1 inch all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really all it is. And ultimately, what's going to happen in the end is you'll see the marks come up. So I'm going to hit OK. And there's my piece. And if I go view, zoom out, there. There's my slug of 1 inch from the edge of the piece. There is my bleed of 1/8 of an inch from the edge of my piece.
Mm-hmm.
And there is my margin of 1/2 of an inch from the edge of the piece.
Okay.
So then from this point forward, what I do is I actually use guides to divide my panel up into 3 sections, more or less like this. Of course, I do it very specifically to a set of measurements, which I'm not doing here. I'm just very quickly showing you how I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I would do is I'd put marks in for here. What I generally do is I'd come in and I'd make myself a mark for there. All right, for that fold. And I would bring a mark over here and make a mark like that. And when you make marks like this, they are usually dashed lines.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is I'd come up to the window menu and I would go to stroke and open the strokes up. And the type stroke would be a dash stroke. Let's see if I can maybe set some sizes here. Can I set a size on it? It's not going to give me that, is it? Let's see here. I guess if I make it a smaller size, let's see if that works. 1. Let's see what that looks like. There. Can you see the little dashes?
Yeah, I can see
Okay,
that.
so when a printer sees a mark like that, as opposed to, let me just do this. Let me click, hold Shift key and drag that mark over there. I think it's not Shift, it's the Alt key, I think. Yeah. So if I have a mark over here, and that mark is a solid line, what a printer knows, okay, I'll close this for now. So you understand how to make these little marks?
Yes.
Simple, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, here's what you have to understand. A printer sees a line like this. Let me bring it up so it's off where it should be. Printer sees a line like that, and a printer knows that that's where he's going to cut the paper.
Okay.
Okay, so when he sees a line like this, he knows, oh, I'm not going to cut there. I'm going to fold there. So that's essentially what those two marks mean, and they're very important to a printer. So if we go back to my template document, you'll see that I have a mark here, okay? And it is actually a dashed line, and I have a solid line over there. So if my printer sees this, he's going to know that I'm cutting over in this area here, cutting that way, folding here, folding there. Okay, that is my actual layout. And if I go to my pages panel, I have my outside page and my inside spread. Now what happens on these pages is, this is the outside. Let me open the page panel up and make it a little bit smaller. It's way too big. Come on, come back a little bit. There we go. Okay. So page number 1 is the outside. This would be the front cover. This would be the back cover. This would be the inset. What inset means essentially is this folds in underneath the outside front cover. You get the back, you get the front, and that one folds in.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Good. And then this, when you open it up, the inset would actually be over here. This would be the front cover, and that would be the back cover. And as you open this thing, what would end up happening is you would end up with a spread. But you still have to set up columns of text here. You don't want text running over columns. It's okay to run big headlines over columns once in a while, like I do on mine. Let me go back to my Scuba Blue here. This is the one that I did in the last. See how I got that one running over? Watch when I come over here. I'm going to bring a guide out, put a guide on there, and I'll bring a guide out and put a guide. Well, the guide's out there already on that one. Yeah, so basically, you'll see I ran a little bit of text long over top of this. Larger text like this, it's okay to do that with. But you never do that with smaller text. This text here is text that you basically want to have nice margins with. You want nice spacing and you want nice visual relationships. You use all of your design criteria when you're working on these things, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to come back here, and that's my, I think this is the untitled. This is the one. All right, I'm going to close that. So you're clear about how to go in and set up your document with all these marks?
Yes.
Did they show you that in, they didn't show you, you said they showed you everything but the slug area.
Right.
Okay, so do you understand what the slug area is and why it's there?
I do, yes.
Good, all right. That's what you need to know. Because again, what's going to happen is when you go to print this thing, if you don't have a slug area, you may end up not getting your mark showing.
Right.
Okay, good.
I gotcha.
All right, hit this, save it. No. Okay, so back to this. So now what we're going to do is, and again, this should be no big news for you because you've done this before. We're going to start the process of building the outside of our brochure. Okay, and we're going to take a look at a couple of things. First of all, let me bring this down. All right, so I'm going to start off by coming over here. I'm going to grab this box here. I got a rectangular frame, and I'm going to create a cover. And I don't know whether I'm going to get this cover to go over the whole cover, so I'm going to try to do it. So I'm going to come over to where my bleed is, and I'm going to come right to where the fold is. So you see the fold here?
Yes.
And the bleed here. And I'm going to click, hold, and drag my box all the way down until it comes to the bleed here and the bleed there. And notice it's nicely hitting the fold.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so that means theoretically, if I do this correctly, I should be able to put a picture in here that will nicely cover my entire front of my 3 panels. Okay?
I see, yeah, I see that.
Go File, Place, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to look for a picture. I'll go Kayak 7 and I'm hit OK. And I noticed that this picture, see what's happening already?
Yeah.
Picture's not big enough, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay. So the way I really would want this is I would want this more like this, where the thing is bigger. Okay. And I could literally do this. The problem is, though, that it's going to be a lower resolution and it's just not going to print very well. And actually, if I come and give it that kind of a go on it, can you see how we actually run off the page?
Yes.
So this picture is not the greatest picture, but I'm stuck having to use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it. Now, how I deal with this is this picture, obviously I can't really move it much because take a look at the brown line. There's the picture. It's right to that edge. See what I mean?
I see. Yes.
Yeah. So, and again, it's cutting off and it's almost cutting off here. So what I would probably do is I would probably let a little bit of it cut off at the bow of the front of the boat. And I would probably leave that. That's about the best I can get it, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Okay. But again, like I say, this is really not good because this picture is not, it's really not going to work because its resolution is too low. So the next thing that I would do is I would come in and I would create another box, and this I would create, I could use the same shape, come in and create a box sort of like that, okay? And go File, Place, and I'm gonna come on Aqua logo, Process, hit Open, and there's my logo. And what I would do is go to the Object menu and go Fitting, and fit content proportionately. And now I have my logo fitting proportionately and place it about where I want it. I think that's probably pretty good. What I do like about this, though, is that you have this yellow going on up here and this yellow down there. There's a nice interrelationship of the two. Okay, but the problem is, see how terrible that logo looks?
Yes.
Okay, do you remember how to fix that?
Yes. You have to you have to go and sharpen the picture, the image.
View, Display Performance, High Quality Display. There you go. So it looks pretty good, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay. But again, like I say, looks are deceiving because the trouble with this is it isn't really good. It is not the correct resolution. So we're in a situation where we probably are not going to be able to produce this very well. Okay, so keep that in mind. I mean, I still want you to work on the brochure and I still want you to put something together, but keep in mind that there are technical issues with this that I really prefer not to have to deal with. It would have been really nicer if the images were correct so I could show you how to make them entirely correct, but it's impossible to do that under these circumstances, all right?
Yeah.
All right, so then the next thing is, let's go back to our folder here and notice that in Tonight, I also have Aqua Text number 1. I'm going to double click on this and I open up Aqua Text number 1. And what you have basically here is you have your information. These are some of the things that you're going to use for your brochure. This is some of the copy that you're going to use for your brochure. Okay? So I don't know, when you were working in InDesign, did you have a sheet like this that you could cut and paste copy into? Angela? What happened? Did I lose you again? All right, well, I'm going to go back to this because back here in the assignment, I think it tells me, go back to the assignments. And give me a second. Let's go to assignment 3. And what does it say here? Where's the headline? Where does it say here? Brochure's name, client, please. Okay, here we go. Only copy to appear on the front panel, right here. Only copy to appear on the front panel. Kayak, tours, sales, and service. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to come over here, drop this down for a moment. This I can get rid of. And I'm going to create a text box. Create a text box and Control V, paste it in. And there I have Kayak Tours, Sales, and Service. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to format this. I'm going to click here. I think what I want to do is I want to break the line right there. Enter. Kayak Tours, Sales, and Service. And I'm going to make that bigger, and I'm going to actually change the format, or the file format. And I think what I want is Myriad Pro. Yeah, I want Myriad Pro, and I think what I want is bold. And let's see if I can make this thing bigger. Let's go up a bit. Bring it up to about 36. And that's probably too big, but let me do this first. Let me just drag this down. Yeah, and we're probably a little bit bigger than we want to be with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and select it again. And let's bring it back down to 35. Kayak Tours, Sales, and Service. There we go. All right, and maybe, do I want it to be like this, or do I want it to be centered? I'm not sure I want it to be centered. I guess it's all right like that. And now let's take a look at what we have. Not bad, not too bad. But let's take a look at something. Let's go up to the swatches panel. And I want to show you something. I have some colors in here. I'm not seeing the colors from my logo come in here. I'm a little bit surprised about that. I should be seeing my colors in here, but I'm not seeing the colors in here. So I guess what I'm going to try to do is see if I can get these colors. Click on that. And there's my two colors. All right. And what I want to do is add this to swatches. And there we have them. And notice that this is a spot color. I get rid of that because I don't want that blue. I'll get other blues. I'm going to remove that. And I think I'm going to get rid of this. Delete that. Okay, so now you see what it did essentially, and I'm going to, oh, you know what? I don't want black. I want none. There we go. Okay. So basically what I have now is I've added my colors in here, all right? So these are CMYK colors. Notice there's no spot colors. If I wanted to make them a spot color, I could do that by coming in here and going spot and hitting OK, and see now it's a spot color. So I don't want to do that. I just wanted to show you how easy it is, remind you how easy it is. So I'm going to double click on it again, bring it back in here, make it a process color, hit OK. I'm going to select the text, select all the text, and I'm going to see what it looks like with that burgundy color. Let's try that first. Is it okay? I mean, I guess it's okay. We could leave it that way if we want. Maybe what we could do, let's try this. Let's take this thing and let's go object fitting, fit frame to content, and let's try bringing this down to the horizon line. Let's see how that looks. I kind of like it there. Okay, we have that there. Now, the one thing I don't like about it is I think it's kind of sloppy in its leading. So the leading is too great. So I'm going to reduce the leading. I'm going to bring it down to about 25. Yeah, I like that. I like tighter spacing with my lines. Okay, so now basically what I've done is I've prepared my front cover, which is a picture. I've incorporated my logo, and I've added my Kayak Tours and Sales Services. So there's my front cover of this thing. Now what I got to do is I got to do an inset panel, and I got to do a back panel. So I'll go back to the copy. Before I do that, though, let's talk a little bit about master pages. So I'm going to come in here, and I have a master already called the A master page. And what I want to do is I want to create maybe some kind of a color that goes in here. So let me start off by creating a text frame, or I mean a frame, just a plain ordinary frame. And I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to have this color run all the way over to the gutter, all the way out to the bleed, and all the way over to that gutter right there. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is get my eyedropper tool, and let's try this nice light blue there. That's a nice light blue color right there. So let's put that blue in our swatches, and let's go to our swatches, and here's our second color. There's our color theme. Now, of course, it picked up these colors too, so That's okay. But the bottom line is I want to, and also notice that they are processed. So I'm going to click on this, and I get that color. Now, if I don't like that color, I can come in and I can pick that color. But I think that color is kind of nice. So here's what I want to do. I want to show you how to use a master page. Now, I don't really have a great reason to use a master page on this particular thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this color to the master page so that you could see what happens to the master page. And oh, and by the way, I'm on the wrong page. This page here should be the page number 1. So I can move that up, I think, or move this one down. Let's see if I can move it down. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right, I moved this one up. So this is the outside, this is the inside, and that's more like how it should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go Edit Cut, okay? And then I'm going to go to the master page, and I'm going to go Edit, Paste in Place. There. All right, now, if you take a look at what happened here, it is on my page. If I go here, let's go to this page. There it is. It's there. I can't delete this because it's no longer on that page. It's on the master page. See it? The problem is now it's on this page right here, the inside page, and I don't want that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and create a new master, okay? And it's going to be B master, and I'm going to hit OK. Just leave it the way it is. And on this master, I'm going to apply that B master to this page. And now, look, when I flip from page to page, the master page item, which is that color, is on the A master. And if I drag it to this one, it is now on the B master. Or if I want it to be off of that one, I can click my master and drag that master, and it's off that. Now, I want to come up with a color for this one. So what I could do here is I could come in and I could grab a frame, go to the B master, and I could grab a frame, and I could drag a frame all the way across the back of this thing, sort of like that, go into my swatches panel, and let's say I choose that bright yellow color. So now what I have is on my pages, I have my A master and my B master, and on my front page, I got that color being applied by one master, and on my B page, I got that color being applied by that master. So the bottom line is when you do this kind of thing, that's essentially what master pages are all about. Now, I do want to show you one more thing, and then I'm going to get into the techniques involved in sending this thing to me, how you prepare this to send this to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw one text frame, and I'm going to drag this text frame out like this, go into my text, and I'm going to grab, let's see, I'm going to grab, let's grab this. Let's grab all this. Let's see here. Actually, this looks like it's pretty good. Let's grab all of that. Copy. And let's go Control V, paste it. And I got some copy set over here. And let's see what let me go back to the copy for 1 second. Go up to the very top. Let's see. Custom adventures, that's probably good enough. Side 2 is simply the best. You know what? Actually, wrong, not right. Let me get this off of here. This is actually for the other side. So let's delete that. And let me grab the right copy. I've never really worked with this copy before, so I'm a little bit confused. But here's side 2. Okay, so here we go. Let's go all the way to here. Let's grab all this. Side 2. We are simply the best. About us? I guess I'll include that. Copy. And come here and Control V, paste. Okay, so there you go. And notice that we have some overset text. So if I come drag this all the way down to here, we still have some overset text. So all I'm going to do really is come in here, create a text frame over here, right about like this, create a text frame like this, go about like that. And then I'm going to click this, use the text tool, come in here and click on this guy. It's really difficult to do this with this. Did I get it? Jeez. There we go. I got to move this over a little bit, I think. There we go. Now I think I can get it. There, I got it. There. And then I'm going to come up here and click and place the overset text there. Didn't I get that text frame there? Wait, where's my text frame? There it is. Okay, so click on this, click on that, and then come up here, and that's what I'm looking for, the link button. There, okay. So now basically what I can do is I can come up here and I can drag this up a little bit, because remember, we're going to put some pictures, and I've got this now, and I can basically try to get these things lined up. Now, you could open up the baseline grid, and you can get this thing set up with the baseline grid, which is what you should do. But what I really wanted to do very quickly was to show you how to do some very simple paragraph styles and character styles. So I'm going to come over to the paragraph style menu, okay? And you can go to the type, and let's see where we at here. Where was it? Character styles. There's the character styles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with setting up a basic paragraph style, because that's one of the things that you have to do. So you're gonna select some of your copy here, and what you're going to do is come in and you're going to set your instructions for it. In my case, I think what I'm going to use here is, again, I think I like Myriad. And where are you at? Myriad Pro. Where are we at? LMM. Where are you? There we go. Myriad Pro. And I think I want it to be regular. Yep. And I think I want it to be 10 point. And I think what I want it to be is 10/14. There we go. Okay, so 10/14. And I think what I wanted to, let's see if I can justify this. Justify it with the flush. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty good. And I also want no hyphens. Let's see if we want here. So go to Window, Paragraph, Type and Table, Paragraph. No hyphens. There. Okay, so that's kind of what I want. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to select it, and I'm going to come in. I'm going to click New Paragraph, and I'm just going to call this my basic, my body copy, B-O-D-Y, body. And I'm just going to basically keep the formatting that I have in here. And yeah, justified left, no hyphenation. And now if I come in here, I can select my other block of copy, and I can come into my paragraph and hit body, and it applies my paragraph to it. Okay? So that's basically the paragraph. Now, if you want, what you can do here is you've got tour package for every taste, about us. We're simply the best, most complete kayak sports center. So what you might want to do with this is you might want to set up, let's see, where we got tour for every taste. Here we go. So I'll set this up, and let's go, again, Myriad Pro, M-Y, Myriad Pro. There we go, Myriad Pro. I just want Myriad Pro. This is going to be difficult. Why don't I just go find Myriad Pro? Here we go, Myriad Pro. Okay, and I want that to be Myriad Pro bold. And I think what I want is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, and I want this to be 18/19. That's 18/19. That's probably good. Okay. And again, I'm going to come into my character styles. That's just probably a paragraph style, though, actually. Come in paragraph style, new paragraph style, and hit OK with that. And now what I'm going to do is click on this and hit paragraph style 1, which I should have renamed. I'll double click on it and call it main topic. Main topic. So you see, basically now you're setting up some basic paragraph and character styles. Here I'm going to set this about us, and I'm going to come up with something for that in the character styles. So I'm going to once again choose Myriad Pro, and I'm going to come in and choose italic. There we go. And let's see, maybe what I'll do is something fancy with it. Let's come in here and let's go to our character window, type, where are we at? Type character. There we go. And what I think I want to do with this is I want to track it out a little bit. So let's see if we can track this out a little bit. That's probably too much. Let's come in around 200. Oops, okay, I'm not getting where I want here. 200. Okay, and let's come over to here. Let's come over to here, and let's make this 100. That's better. And now I come in here and grab this and get the color, and go to the I want to, before I do that, change the color. So come in here and I'm going to make this. Let's try to burgundy. Actually, you know what? Let's try to dark blue. And now I'm going to save that as a character style. And now I have that as a character style. All right. And if I want to edit my paragraph style, let's say, for instance, I want to edit my paragraph style. Let's say I want to come in here and change the color of my paragraph style. So I'm going to go to my paragraph style. Let's minimize this, minimize that. And let's find the paragraph style, which is right here. And let's choose the main topic, and let's edit it. Let's edit it. Style options, right? Yeah, and let's go to color. See if we can go to color here. Advanced character formatting. Where is it? Color. Cancel. Let's try. Yeah, I can still get the same thing. Drop caps and nested cap justification. Where's the color? I'm trying to remember. I guess what I have to do, hit cancel. Let's just select this. Let's try it this way. I think maybe I can modify it, but I haven't done this in a while. So modify this. Select it, and let's make it a dark blue. Okay, and then we're going to go in and paragraph. And define style, redefine style. And it should have updated, but it didn't. So I'm actually a little bit, oh, there you go. Well, anyway, there it is. So basically I've actually gone in and I've modified my styles, and I've created a couple of different styles for you. So that's basically what you want to do. You want to build yourself, and you bring your pictures in. Keep in mind what I was telling you about the pictures. They're not going to be useful. They're not going to be very useful, but you're going to build some styles. You're going to come in and you're going to work with your master pages. And so basically what I'm going to do now is go back to my Scuba Blue final. Save this. No. I'm going to go back to my Scuba Blue. This is the final. This is the one, which is this one. This is the one that I want, I think. Yeah, get rid of that and get rid of that. And this one is what? This one is, this is the one that I was altering earlier. Okay, so I have this Scuba Blue brochure. So let's just say, for instance, this is the brochure that I'm about to submit. And again, just so that you know, let me go view, zoom out, and I'll show you. Zoom out. Basically, I am in a template, and this is the template that I submitted. So I'm using the same template here that you will be using when you create this. There's two things that you have to do. One of them is you have to submit this as a PDF, and the second thing is you have to package it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the PDF first. So go to the File menu, and I'm going to come down. You see where it says Adobe PDF Presets? Right below that, it says Export. Click on Export. And you're going to notice that it's Adobe PDF Print. And I'm going to call this Aqua Trifold Final PDF. And where do I want to put this? For our purposes tonight, I'm going to hit Desktop. And I'm going to go into my Tonight folder. And I'm going to hit Save. And I get my high quality, or my Adobe PDF export dialog box. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this down to oh, I don't know. I guess go high quality is good. And now what I'm going to do is you're going to go all pages, all right, and come into marks and bleeds. Most of this stuff you can basically leave alone for our purposes, but you got to go into marks and bleeds. Notice that there are no marks and bleeds that are selected here. So I'm going to start off by choosing all the marks. Okay, now here's the thing, just so that you understand. I created crop marks on my template. So if you're using my template, you don't need to incorporate crop marks because I've already put them there for you. So you can deselect that. You want the bleed marks. You want the registration marks. Registration marks, I'll show you in a minute. Registration marks are what you use to show, the printer uses them to align the plates when he separates. You got the color bar and the page information. So you want everything, if you're using my template, but the crop marks. Oh, I'm sorry, color bars you don't need. Oh, no, you do need. This is the 4-color process, sorry. So the only ones you don't really need are the crop marks. The rest of these you need because this is 4-color process. Okay, so you're going to come into marks and bleeds. You're going to choose all printers marks. You can get rid of the crop marks. The rest you keep. Then you're going to come down to slug and bleed. And because I use document bleed settings, I have document bleed settings on my document that you're using. I'm going to click use document bleed settings, and I want you to see what happens. Down here, the bleed settings that I have in the document appear. So it's 1.25 inches. And then, of course, include the slug area. That's important. If you don't include the slug area, what may happen is it may cut off all of your marks. So I put a slug area in there. I want to include the slug area. I want to use the document bleeds. I want to apply all the printer's marks. And if you're using my template, you can remove the crop marks. So that's what you're looking to do. When you get all that way, you hit export, and it exports the file. And now if I open up my folder for tonight, and let's go to my desktop, and let's find tonight, there it is. You'll see that in here is my Aqua trifold final, and I'm going to click my, my Acrobat Reader, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to drag and drop that in, and you can take a look at what this should look like. So essentially here I have my crop marks, my fold marks. Those are the marks that I created and put in here. See, and my copy fold is there as well. You have a grayscale, you have a color bar, you have your crop marks, and you have some page information. And all of those elements are what you created in the PDF dialog box. And those are all the elements that your printer absolutely must have in order to properly produce this project. And if I go down to my inside spread pages, I got the same thing. I got my fold, my crop marks. I've even got the crop marks from my bleed. And I have my registration marks. I got my grayscale, my color bar, and my page information. So that is what you're going to do with the PDF. Okay? And now finally, I'm going to show you how to package this. The other way that you will produce this and send it to a printer is by packaging it. Packaging it is essentially creating a new document in a folder that has all the elements that go into this project. For instance, all the images get copied into the folder, all of the fonts get copied into the folder, and the reason that happens is because it doesn't, you don't want to leave yourself, you don't want to leave it up to yourself to actually try to package this. You want to actually have the document package it. So by doing this, it'll make sure that everything gets in the folder, so when you send it to your printer, he will be able to open it and produce it. To do that, you go to the File menu, you come down to Package, and you click, and what you get is the Package dialog box. Now, you can come over here and you can look at the fonts independently, the links and the images independently, the colors and inks independently, the print settings, and the external plugins. But I prefer to look at the summary, because the summary in a glance shows you everything you need to know. Let me go through this very quickly. In the fonts area, it says 6 fonts are used. It's saying none are missing, which is good. You don't want any to be missing. None are embedded, which is fine. None are incomplete, which is fine. And none are protected. So by looking at this, there's nothing wrong with your fonts. So that's good. Now, we come to the links and images, and we see this guy right there, which is a warning. And that warning is telling us something. All right, so it's telling us that it found 8 links. So there's 8 linked images in your document. None of them have been modified, which is good. None are missing, which is good. None are inaccessible, that's good. None are embedded, that's good. 5 use RGB color space. So, okay, there's your problem. And just so that you understand, I left this way specifically so that you could see what happens and you get a good idea of how this dialog box really works. So essentially, this is warning me that when I created this document, I did not convert my artwork into RGB color space. Okay, so that's not a big problem. I can either close this out right now and quit the packaging process, go in and fix it, and you know what? Maybe I will do that. Let's hit cancel, and let me go over to my links panel, go to window, go to links, and I'm going to open up one of the images that I think is CMYK, and I think it's this guy right here. I'm going to go open with, where are we at here? Edit with Adobe Photoshop. Give it a second, it'll open up. And there we go. And see that? Look at that image right there, the diver is in RGB. So what I would do to fix this is I would go to the image menu, go to mode, and change it to CMYK. Don't merge it because you see it's on a transparent background, so don't merge it. Hit OK and close the image. Save changes, yes. And now basically I have corrected that image. What I would do then is using the links panel, I would look at all of my other images and find the ones that are in RGB. So really it's not that difficult to fix this. The other way to do it is to package it, and then you can save, you can go in and you can open them up in the saved folder. But this way is a lot easier. So let's go back to packaging. Go File, Package. And okay, so we've got the 4, notice now instead of 5, 4, because I fixed one. Color and inks, 4 process inks, 0 spot inks. Color management is on, all good. In other words, it's saying you got 4 color process, there are no spot inks, and there are no external plugins, so all this is good. So I'm gonna hit package. And publication must be saved before continuing. Save it now. Hit save. Now, I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to hit save. I get my printing instructions, and it's called trifold, which is fine. Now, here's what I did. I just basically put some very basic information here, but in reality, you'd put what specifically, you know, you're doing, who you are, who you're working with, you'd put them in here. But contact, obviously, you'd put your name if you're the one that's the person to be contacted over this. Whatever company you're working for, you'd put your company name in, an address if you want. You would definitely put a phone number in, because in this way the printer would be able to know how to find your phone number right within the packaged file. You could put your email, and I wrote some instructions under instructions, but in reality what you would write would be whatever instruction you would like the printer to have. So that's really all it is. I hit continue, and now I'm going to save this thing to my desktop, and the folder name is Scuba Blue Final Folder. And I'm going to actually check out what it's going to do. It's going to copy the fonts. It's going to copy the linked graphics. It's going to update graphic links and package. What that means essentially is that it is going to take your document and it's going to make a duplicate of it within the packaged folder. And it will copy, I should say, link all of your copied graphics, all of your graphic and all of your text, your fonts, to the text that's in that document. So I'm going to hit package, This is just basically a little warning telling you that some of the fonts that you use have limitations in their usage. The printer already knows this. You can choose not to show it again, but I leave it because I want you to see it so that I can explain what it is. It's really just a warning telling you that you can use your fonts for this project only. So I hit OK, and it's packaging my document. And it'll take a moment because it's got some actual thinking to do. And give it a second. All right, and now I can go in and I can take a look at my package, which is Scuba Blue. I think it's this right here. Let's see, am I right? Let's see. Scuba Blue file folder, and that's it right there. Okay, so here we go. So basically, what you have here is you have your document fonts. There are the fonts that are being used. And go back, and here are my links. There are my images. Remember, these images are in RGB right now. So if I had to, I could go in and I could fix them even now. Or you could go in and fix them like I showed you. This is your Scuba Blue Final. And if I double click on this and open it up, you'll see that it is basically a duplicate of the document. There it is. See, Scuba Blue Final. There's the other one, all right? So that's all there is to that. And then, of course, you've got your Scuba Blue Final PDF. And then, of course, that little document right there is the information. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to, I have to, on my computer, right-click it. And then I'm going to go send to compressed zip folder. And you're going to take your zipped folder, it's compressing it right now. There it is, there's a zip folder. And you're just going to name this correctly, and that's what you're going to send to me. So really, that's it. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. You're going to create the trifold brochure, make it look visually very nice, and produce something and send it to me. Make sure that you package it properly. I'll say this one more time to you. The bottom line is what I'm looking for here is the technical expertise. I'm looking for you from a production standpoint to do the production things first and foremost. Yes, I do want to see a nice production. I do want to see a nice looking brochure. But what's most important for me is to see that you are creating a project that a printer could take and print. So do the steps, do the techniques that I covered in this. And if you have any questions or any issues whatsoever, please feel free to give me a call and contact me. I'll be more than happy to talk with you and help you on it. And just so that you know, my hours this week will be Wednesday at 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Wednesday. That's in Blackboard. Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. Mountain Time. So 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Wednesday Mountain Time. 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mountain Time. 1 to 4 Thursday Mountain Time. Friday 9 to 1 Mountain Time. And don't hesitate to come in. Send me an email if you have to. And have a good night. Thank you.